Yes, yes, yes. Nice to see you, brother. So new relationships coming into my life. They're cropping up like saplings into my life. Some small weeds, and Peter is definitely one of them. My new friend, and he is a professional guitarist, and he is into this holistic lifestyle. And here he is, a budding new health coach. I'm really happy to see you, young man. Uh, you
Thank you
certainly
so
inspire
much.
me. Profile is really inspiring, brother. And hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're having a beautiful, beautiful day. And hopefully our viewers are having a great day as well. So, so Peter, why don't you just tell about yourself, about what you do and who you are?
Absolutely. How is my volume? Can you hear me well?
Yes, brother, I can hear you well.
Oh, good, good. Well, my name is Peter, and I just started a health coaching career, and I hold that on Instagram on a account called Pete the Healer
Okay,
because
Peter the
I'm hoping
healer.
to guide. Yep, Pete the Healer.
Okay,
I'm hoping to guide people towards self-healing. So it's not
okay,
that I'm have magical powers and I'm not the Buddha, I'm not Jesus Christ, I'm not Krishna, but what I can do is I can share what I've experienced on my journey because in 25 years of being a human being, I've encountered a lot of darkness and a lot of trauma. And actually, I've
okay.
been abused as well, physically and emotionally. So all of that darkness inspires us to make the world a better place. So
Yes,
my main mission is to spread the emotion of love and to spread joy and smiles and dance and all of that is so possible if we're willing to return to the state of a child and not take life quite so seriously. So, more about me. I'm 25 years old chronologically, at least that's what they tell me. You never know. Um, we're all eternal in our higher selves, but in my ego, I currently work as a musician, and
okay,
I came out of university right when COVID lockdown was happening. So it was a very interesting time to be a performer because in some places they won't let you perform. Um, so I would go out into the public and with my electric guitar and just with my voice and I will sing classic songs from American culture and from Western culture, like the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Bob Dylan, all of the great artists, and people really enjoy hearing some of those old songs. So maybe they'll drop me a $1 bill in my case, or maybe if they're really loving what I'm doing, they'll drop me a $20 bill.
wonderful,
Yep.
wonderful, wonderful,
So I
brother.
make Thank you.
Yeah,
I make cash tips, and then I use that cash to pay for my room that I'm renting here in Denver, and I pay for my groceries and pay for my cell phone bill. But I'm a minimalist, so I don't have too many expenses right now. So I'm enjoying living at about 1,000 US dollars a month, sometimes even less. So I enjoy not having a wife yet, not having a family yet, not owning a
being
house
single,
yet.
same with me, brother. We both belong to the same club. I'm absolutely a
Hmm.
practitioner as well. I'm a spiritual practitioner. I'm a dedicated volunteer in a spiritual organization. And I love being single as well, brother. I love that. I love that being single. And it certainly helps us in our spiritual development. It certainly gives us time. It certainly gives us the resources. And it certainly gives us the added motivation to, embark on our spiritual journey and spiritual practices. And I love that you're single. Yes. So,
Yes.
how long have you been a professional guitarist, brother?
I've been a professional for 1 year because it was a year and a half ago was my final semester of university.
Hmm.
So I chose not to receive a degree because unfortunately my university responded to the COVID situation in a very inappropriate way. And they locked everything down and my music concerts were canceled and that was frustrating. So I felt a bit of like there was a dissonance or there was a disagreement between me and my university. But that being
Okay.
said, I learned so many valuable lessons from great professors and great peers who are
Mm.
excellent in their music. So if I had not gone to that university in the state of Washington, I wouldn't be where I am today. That being said, I still have yet to develop a lot of professional relationships, so I don't really go out and play paid gigs every week. I'm still developing my network because I'm only about 1 year into this professional music career, but I'm lucky because my mother is a professional musician as well, and she plays the double bass
That
called the
sounds good.
upright
Oh,
bass.
okay, okay,
So she has a lot of friends and family who put on concerts and love music. So by watching her substitute for the Colorado Symphony Orchestra and play for famous bands like Earth, Wind, and Fire, Yo-Yo Ma, she's really enjoyed quite a successful career, not only performing but also offering music lessons in her private studio in her home. So I have one student right now in music, and I'm so
okay,
excited about that as a form of income as well. When it's a little bit cold outside, I can host someone in my home where it's nice and warm, and I can teach them all that I've learned about music theory and about singing, the keyboard and guitar. But guitar is really where my heart is and my where my passion is at.
okay, okay. That's great. That's great, brother. That's great. That's really great. So, yes. So, when did your, the holistic health lifestyle journey begin with, and what really prompted you, in addition to, yeah, you were talking about your physical abuse, which you have encountered, in addition to the mental health problems. So, how long have you started this journey, and what are the factors which really prompted you, what motivated you, and whom you look up to in this journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, as I think back to my past, what happened to me was that I was born into a family that is pretty mainstream. So they accept the narratives and the ideas from the US government and from the US pharma system and the education system and the food and agriculture system. And unfortunately, being born into that environment, I suffered a lot of hurt because unfortunately, a lot of people and most people live very unhealthy lives. So I experienced a lot of receiving vaccines and drinking tap water that has rust in it, and a lot of eating chips and soda and things that really destroy the body over time. So it was last summer where there was a major turning point for me because I was at a market in Denver. I was performing with my guitar and I happened to meet a friend named Holistic Daria, and she has
Holistic?
devoted her Instagram. Oh yeah,
Okay.
Holistic Daria.
No, yeah, okay, okay. We are going to mention this in our description over here, brother. Definitely, and also your Instagram profile. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah, she has a beautiful Instagram profile where she is a brand ambassador for Live Ultimate, which is a supplement company. So I thought,
Okay.
wow, she's selling this mushroom powder product that you can make into like a little coffee substitute. So people who don't want to be drinking coffee can supplement their diet with mushrooms that are low temperature baked into a powder. So meeting her and following her Instagram then exposed me to about 10, 20 other holistic creators. And I felt like I went down the rabbit hole like Alice in Wonderland. I just kept going into it, into it, into it, into it. And I found all these incredible, incredible practices that are free, like ecstatic dance, gazing, breath work, yoga, meditation. And I'm finding that these people actually live a life where they're doing these things every single day, not because
Yes.
they need to or are told to by a teacher or their guru, but because it's what they love so much. So I realized that the key to living a life that is filled with joy and happiness is finding, I'd say, 10, 20 activities that you do every day because you love your life. Um, yeah, then I would say that the next big factor happened. Yeah, okay. So Daria, I met last summer, and then only
Okay.
2 months ago, in October, I found one Instagram account that changed my life
Okay.
forever. This is my most important mentor by far. So
Okay.
he reached out to me with a different account in a message because he's so heavily censored and suppressed by Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to heal people with free modalities and the system. does not want that to occur. So they prevent him from sending messages. So he used an alternate account to send me a message saying, hey, I'm offering this breathwork week course on Zoom. So I looked into his stuff, and his name is Nick Caputo, and he's
Nick
only
Caputo,
24 years
yes.
old.
It's an amazing man, brother. He's really an amazing man. Yeah, I've been following him, and he's, of course, you're lucky to get here. So it was like a retreat, brother. This breathwork was a retreat you attended to, or it was like it was a virtual retreat which he offered you.
You know, it was just an offer to attend his breathwork boot camp, which is a 1 week course on Zoom on the internet. But I didn't even apply for the course because I couldn't afford it financially. But what I love is that Nick provides free content on his YouTube and his Instagram. So
Yes.
I became ferociously in love with his content, and I would eat it up like it was a big bowl of pudding or something, or a giant steak. That's a horrible metaphor for us vegans, but I started to learn about some crazy things that I'd never heard of before. The biggest one for me was urine therapy. And trying urine therapy, mostly that just involves drinking my fresh urine after I pee, if anybody just doesn't know what that is. And trying that flipped a switch in my mind where I felt hydrated for the first time. I felt truly healthy for the first time. And I realized that as a minimalist, you don't need to rely on outside water sources like tap water or even spring water, because we're our own distilled water machine. So it's really exciting to have mentors like Nick who are willing to give so much value, and they know that just like throwing a boomerang, everything that you give, you also receive. So he is so abundant, and he is such a humble guy, and it's incredible what he's done with his brain. Only 24 years. He's even younger than me. So I just cannot thank Nick enough, and I'm sure that we'll meet in person someday. And I'm actually saving up money to attend his Zoom class, because as a healer, the best thing I can do for my clients, really I should say as a health coach, the best thing I can do for my clients is to attend retreats and attend Zoom courses and develop my knowledge, because the best thing about health coaching is it's all based in lived experience and not a textbook. I may consult some books because there can be good wisdom in books, but unfortunately so many people are indoctrinated by the system that says, read this in a book and it's true, not, oh, I lived it. Oh, I drink my own fresh urine.
Yeah,
like I even have a little bit
oh,
here.
yes. Yes, brother.
If you drink it yourself and it makes you feel good, for example, then they could write 1,000,000 books and do 1,000,000 scientific studies on how it's bad for you. I would not give a rat's ass. I would not care at all, because my lived experience is primary. It is number one. So getting these people who are willing to, in this post-COVID era, reject what we call the mainstream in light of our lived experience is invigorating, and it's exciting. And I'm finding friends like you on the internet who are helping me come into what I call perfect alignment and perfect health.
Yes, urine therapy is fastly becoming very popular, brother. In India, it's very popular actually. We do drink the cow's urine here. Cow's urine therapy is very famous over here. I do got some specific PDFs or something. Yes, cow's urine, because we consider cow to be the mother, our mother, and you know. It's used to treat many diseases, because the three doshas, the kapha, pitta, and the vayu. All the three doshas in the Ayurveda. So it is used in healing cancer as well, and it's also used in healing chronic inflammation. It's also used in treating the acid refluxes, the systemic acidosis. Cow's urine is very famous over here, and of course, the Shivambu therapy, which you're using as well. One of our former prime ministers, he was into this, and he lived healthily for 100 years. You're drinking his own pee. So yes, it's. But are there any protocols, brother? You need to get your system purified first. Is it that way? Did you enter any Fruitarianism or juicing therapy before in order to clean your system?
or animals or something of that sort? How did it all begin, brother?
That's a good question because I get that question a lot when people are curious about urine therapy. They might think, oh, this has to be a process where I first clean up my vehicle and then my
Mm-hmm.
pee is a little more palatable or digestible. It's not so rancid
Yeah,
and
yeah.
salty and frankly, I take a lot of my urine therapy knowledge from Nick Caputo's example because I just
Mm-hmm.
resonated with his work so much. So he had an interesting point, and that is that we could switch that and think that rather than cleaning the vehicle before we engage the Shivambu, what we should do is actually engage in the Shivambu to purify the vehicle. So
Mm-hmm.
it's even though it's difficult the first couple of days, I do like to share with people my anecdote of the first day I tried my own fresh urine. I was working and I had a jar with me. I'm doing landscaping. I'm a laborer sometimes as well, a little side gig. And it was so rancid because I'd been eating junk food, and my favorite junk food is the greasy Domino's pizza that Americans
Ah,
are very
yes.
famous.
Everyone loves that.
Probably famous around the world, in fact. Yeah, it's
Yes.
very good. It's like a few seconds of tongue stimulation, and then you pay for it in your gut. And
When you
unfortunately, it makes the pee so horrible. But even in that first day, what's so amazing about urine therapy is that if you just loop, that's a term I use, just meaning you're drinking your fresh consistently throughout the day. Even in 1 or 2 days, you will get to watch your urine get cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner until it's almost completely clear and has almost a sweet quality like coconut water. So urine therapy did inspire me to get into fruitarianism, as you referenced, because you start to realize that you truly are what you eat in a sense. Not quite. I mean, the food doesn't literally become your body's cells, but what we have inside of our belly is going to inform how we smell, even how we think, the emotions that
yes,
we feel. So fruit is beautiful because karmically it has no negative consequence. Unfortunately, if we grow a plant, even a vegetable, as Nick Caputo would say, we're raping the earth, and that's a very aggressive phrase, but agriculture is completely unnatural compared to what our ancient ancestors would do. And in a different time on this realm of earth, they would find a fruit tree and see a ripe fruit. That's why humans can see a different color spectrum than other animals. We would see, oh, that apple is red. It's perfect to pluck it, and we would have what we call a sacred fluid exchange with that tree.
yes,
We would eat the
yes,
fruit,
yes.
we would digest the fruit, but then we would also poop out most of the seeds and plant more trees. So it
Mm.
was a symbiosis, they'd call it in science. And now there's no symbiosis and there's a horrible degradation of what we call the natural environment because of monocropping in America and in other nations, I'm sure, like India, Argentina, they're growing just acres and thousands of acres of just soya beans or thousands of acres of just corn, thousands of acres, they'll just cut down the Amazon rainforest for cattle. And so people like me and Nick have this vision for the future that we could actually modify our diets and on the biggie, the three: meat, dairy, and starch. And so a Domino's pizza has meat on it, cheese on it, and tomato starch. So the only redeeming quality is the tomato because that's a fruit. But we have this vision for the future that we could return to kind of that ancient future. It's a bit of a paradox, but we can look to our past and really read some old documents and think sociologically, historically about in what ways were our ancestors so right, and in what ways are we today being so brainwashed, and how has the truth been so perverted? So I would say that fruit is such a beautiful phase, and even Nick found out about fruitarianism before he found out about breathwork. So I thought that fruit, it cured so many of his fevers that he was enjoying fruit. Then he was like, oh my gosh, even fruit will hold us back energetically. So
Okay.
as we learn about chronic sources of nourishment, there's what I would call a hierarchy. You could also
Hmm.
think about it as a spectrum of vibration. The highest vibration there is the sun, because the sun is the provider of
Certainly.
all life.
That's
And
true,
then,
brother. I'm a fellow sun gazer as well. I can relate to you. I can resonate totally 100% because sun is the source, and every form of yeah, the nutrition which we are putting inside the body is essentially the secondary form of sun energy for sure. So yeah, I'm glad that you are into sun gazing. So, are there any specific protocols which you are doing this sun gazing, brother?
yeah, definitely. I will address that, but just really quickly, I want to just get to the rest of the spectrum. So there's sun, then the next
Hmm.
highest vibration would be the breath, because everything that is in the air is being charged with the sun and the cosmic vibration, or the cosmic rays, they call it. After breath, it would be liquids, and
Hmm.
then solid food, like vegan solid foods, even like fruit. Worse than that, lower vibration of that would be meat, cheese, and starch. And lower than that would be when you get to really bad territory like cannabis and people like that. But yes, thanks for asking about sun gazing, because as we've talked about briefly,
This
we talked
pyramid is
about the
certainly
basics.
going to spice up this interview, brother. This pyramid, which you have explained now, this hierarchy is certainly going to bring many topics in this interview. I love that. Please go ahead, brother. Sorry for this
Oh, good.
interruption.
No, 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 that's good. Yeah, it is kind of like a nice outline because there's a lot to talk about
Hmm.
with every single one of those, isn't it? So,
Absolutely.
sun, sun gazing, it's funny. I didn't really exactly bring up this one man, but I want to take a moment to mention that Daniel Roan is a acquaintance that I made in Denver, and he did a soul healing. He did a spiritual healing of me in Chipotle. We were just eating Mexican food in Denver, and he is such an intuitive person. He was the first person to teach me about sun gazing. That's the only reason I'm bringing him up. He, the very first night I met him, noticed that I had a knot around here in my chakra system, and he encouraged me to do an imagination exercise where I had a spinning ball above my crown chakra here. He said, just
Okay.
imagine that spinning ball, even a certain color, it was either like purple or something, and
Hmm.
with his verbal instruction, he healed me, and I felt this knot that I'd actually literally been suffering from for 4 or 5 years. He undid this knot, and I just cried and cried and cried. So when he told me about sun gazing, I was very receptive because I knew that he was intuitive in a sense that most people aren't. He's a professional healer who's worked at a metaphysical shop where people literally would hire him per hour, like like I'm trying to do with my health coaching career. People would consult him, and he would use imagination exercises to heal people. It's very similar to Reiki. Um, so to get back to sun gazing more specifically, the protocols that I use is, for one, less is more,
Yes.
microdosing, because
Yes. This
as
is
you're getting
interesting.
into these
Yes.
things, it's easy to overdo it. And some people, there's a good reason why, as school children, I vividly remember being in my gymnasium as a child and hearing, don't stare at the sun. It'll hurt you. Your retinas will be permanently damaged. And there actually
Unfortunately,
is a
we are
bit of
programmed
truth
that
to
way.
that. Yeah, because if you're not doing it at sunrise or sunset for the first
Hmm.
only like about 1 hour, the sun is so aggressive. Because it's the source of all life, it's easy to overdo it. So that's the first advice that I would give is, even if your first sun gazing session was 5 seconds, that would
Hmm.
change your life forever.
That
Even
makes
if it was
sense.
10 seconds, it would change your life forever, because every cell in your body is going to be lit up like it's a fire. That's totally how
Hmm.
I felt my first time. Other good protocols to follow would be being barefoot, and and the reason for that is you need to visualize your spine being a giant lightning rod, we would call it, as a
Correct.
metaphor, because
Yes.
the sun is being received by your eyes, but also your third eye, and then you need to be able
Yes.
to
In the
somehow
pineal gland.
discharge that, right? You
Yeah.
need to discharge it out through your feet. So Daniel, my mentor, who taught me about sun gazing, said, before you open your eyes to the sun, do two things. One, you need to actually thank the sun internally. either verbally with a mantra or just speak in your mind, right? Say, thank you for the abundance. Thank you for the lesson. Thank you for the healing. That type of a gratitude and a humility will make you properly receptive. So many of us deal with too much arrogance and too much egotism. So some people might think, oh, I don't need the sun. I've got this, you know. The second thing that he said is very important is to literally imagine your whole spine being a lightning rod that goes out through both feet so that the energy from the sun has a pathway and there's not a blockage. You know, when there's like a short electrically, that's when sparks can happen and there can be like an
Yes.
electric fire. The same thing will happen in your body and your retinas if you don't allow all the powerful energy to exit out of you. A couple more specific good ideas that he taught me. One is that you want to not really blink too much, and you don't want to move your head and look all around in different places. You want to be pretty consistent and kind of allow just one spot in your vision to be
Mm-hmm.
consumed by, you know, the sun and the sky. And then when you feel like you've had enough, it's a very intuitive experience, and everybody's going to be different, right? One person might feel like they're loving it and they want to be a full 1 minute, 2 minutes. Some person might feel like I, my first time, felt like I've been doing this for only 7 seconds. This is overwhelming. So I'm going to close my eyes. And then Daniel coached me to physically, you want to put your hand over your eyes as well. Because your eyelids, sure, they're very incredible in their utility, but they're not going to block out all of the sunlight. So sun
Yes, brother.
gazing is so intense, you want to both close your eyes, but then also use your hand as a shield. And then you can just move your face away from the sun, and you want to allow your eyes to heal and readjust to not staring at the sun for a solid 1 or 2 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
until, because I will say this from personal experience, after you sun gaze, you will see a pretty vivid pattern. It's just basically either that circle of the sun, but also it'll create a little bit of a stem, kind of like when
Yes.
the sun is over the ocean and you're looking, it'll kind of cause a reflection down into the waters. That's why the Egyptian pharaohs actually had those giant chins. That the beard wrap, interestingly enough, that's actually a metaphor for the sun casting its beard into the water in front of you. So you want to look away, and then I've had beautiful images of like lotus flowers because it has a stem going down and then it would kind of like shape up on top. But
Okay.
essentially you want to allow your vision to readjust your normal life. And so just take your time and do a lot of deep breathing and don't open your eyes until you feel like that burned image is getting a little bit less intense. It's a little bit
Yeah,
hard to
that
put into words,
those are the
but I think you'll
biophotons getting
understand.
activated, brother. Those are the biophotons getting activated. I am, I have been gazing for 45 minutes here. And yes, it's been such a
Wow.
couple of years, brother. It's been so. It's like we encourage to just rub the palms and generate some heat, and then just close your eyes and turn away from the sun, as you have said. So you're going to see some images, as you've been saying, like those are the with the fluoride, which has been like. Which has been blocking our pineal gland, which has been blocking literally our third eye. Is it, this will be opening up slowly near the hypothalamus area, and then will be more susceptible, to absorbing the higher energies, because eyes are the windows of the soul. And
Mm.
there is one of my mutual friends like you on Facebook. So we have been providing images where, you can clearly feel that this is ether. The eyes are nothing but the ether. They are just pulling the etheric energy inside. And his name is Tom. Tom is one of my friend in the Breatharian community. Tom Kane, if I'm not wrong, is from Australia. So I can definitely feel that, brother. It is just we are ethereal beings. We are energy beings. So definitely sun gazing. Yeah, when done with proper protocols, like you have said, with grounding, and keeping your spine erect and feeling the sun inside you, feeling it near your heart, and visualizing it and feeling the sun, straight away. It's gonna take you to another dimensions for sure. Uh, I love that, brother. And we'll go on to we'll move on to the next question. I loved everything which you have said of sun gazing, and we should do a special session about this, practically, because I am still having sun in front of me here, brother. Practically, I'm
Oh,
doing it
beautiful.
while while talking it to you. I'm just enjoying the sun over here, brother. So I love that. I love that. Love you, brother. So. We'll just come on to your, fruit journey for now. So, what are your battles? Did you have any battles, brother? Uh, like your de-addictions or cravings when you came into this journey, and how, if you really battle anything of that sort, what sort of practices, like self-love or self-talk or meditation
Mhm.
which you have done to battle those cravings.
Mm. Yeah, good question. Thank you. The first major addiction that I faced was food because it's so ubiquitous in our culture. And by food, I specifically mean solid food that's um, designed and developed to hold us down and to fill us up with gunk, um, and to addict us. So I grew up, as I mentioned, I ate what we call the standard American diet, and it spells out the word SAD, SAD.
Sad, yes,
So
it's sad.
it's very sad, right? It's just one of those coincidences, but I love decoding things like acronyms. So yeah, food was something that was introduced into my life, and I suffered a lot of constipation as a child and a lot of sickness. And now that I know what I know about health and terrain theory, I realize that I wouldn't have had to deal with things such as strep throat. I had a really bad what they call strep throat in elementary school. That moving on though, the next major addiction was an addiction that a lot of us men face, which is pornography. And so using the internet, I would look up pornography and then masturbate and ejaculate to it. And my father is a porn addict, but he's a psychologist who helps other men with their porn addiction. So I just
Okay.
have a lot of it's pretty interesting. So he both suffers from it, but he has a lot of sobriety time. So he helps try and encourage men how to be more in touch with their healthy sexuality, enjoying sex with a real partner who's a human being and not a computer screen.
Hmm.
Because it feels just like food, just like a slice of Domino's pizza. It feels extremely good when you're eating it in, and then it just leaves you feeling so horrible and crappy. So I then found my third addiction, unfortunately, in college when I was introduced to smoking cannabis, which is a beautiful, beautiful healing substance, but just like everything, it's kind of hard to take it in moderation because it makes one feel so high. And it does, like you said, we're ethereal beings, we're spiritual beings, and smoking weed, or some people call it cannabis, marijuana,
Hmm.
smoking it will
Marijuana.
definitely tap you into that spiritual side of life, and you can even have visions and hallucinations of gods and previous lives, and you can be connected to people around the world. It's a powerful substance, but unfortunately I started to overeat. So when
Hmm.
you overuse it, it becomes a little bit problematic because it decreases my motivation to do things that are more sustainable, I would call it. You start to feel like you wake up in the morning and you just want to smoke some marijuana, or you just are done with work and you just want to go home and just get high. So I've really realized that my higher self, what I call my higher self, is completely sober. And that's kind of me speaking on a fourth dimensional level, because some people are
Wow.
more here in the present, but I've started to realize that I'm coming into a fourth dimensional existence where I'm more in touch with what we call the past and with what we call the future. So I look into the future and I see that Pete the healer is actually completely sober, not just from weed and porn, but also from solid food.
So someone is just
So
posting on the comment over here, and it's my guru, one of the ones who is introduced me into this. The ones he's definitely the one. His name is Ramesh, and yes, he's a breatharian practitioner. He's on camera here. Uh, oh yes, yes, he's a breatharian practitioner, and he has been with Elitom, Elamine, and yeah. Yes. He's online here. He's yeah, he has done sessions with Elitom Elamine, and he is the one who has introduced me into this sun gazing. He's like my guru, and even into this detoxification lifestyle. And he is a nomad here. He's a nomad, and he's just exploring areas, and then meditating everywhere. He's just contributing to the society a lot. It's certainly an inspiring. He's a celibate as well. So now we have brought up this cannabis and marijuana. You are still doing this, brother, or you just gave it up, or sometimes you do it for spiritual reasons still?
yeah, thanks for asking. I just gave it up recently, but
I love
um,
that.
like,
Fantastic.
like a lot of us who are suffering from addictions and are trying to heal our addictions, there are moments where I relapse and will imbibe in it. But thankfully, today is day 4 of I'm completely clean from all 3 of my addictions and started my health coaching career. And my health coaching Instagram account has actually been fantastic motivation to stay clean. Because how am I
Hmm.
going to help the world if I myself am so unhealthy and so dirty? You really have to heal the world by healing yourself. And that's what holistic Daria taught. Yep, that's so true. We are
So
all breatharian. And
we are all
it's so
breatharians.
interesting. Yeah,
Tom
it's just
says
all
that
about
as you that the moment you realize you are a breatharian, you are a breatharian. So yes. So you should definitely bring this concept, into your health coaching, brother. This porn addiction, de-addiction, whatever your travel, this your journey, and you should really empathize. I love that you're starting your health coaching. Uh, so when in the process of your detoxing, were there any challenges which you faced, brother? I've seen that you have shed so much 20 30 lbs of weight, and still yeah, and you're still, I love that you're still exercising uh, in your process of detoxification. So, are there any cramps or weakness which you have faced? And if any, how did you encounter that?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. In college, just to tell a quick story that'll help me answer. In college, I saw a great YouTube video that brought up fasting and the healing benefits of ketosis, where your body is allowed to burn some fat. But I didn't also know about autophagy, meaning that your body is going to also eat away your tumors. It's going to eat away your acne. It's going to eat away what we call cysts or boils or bumps and all that stuff. All that stuff is
Mm-hmm.
just too much, basically mucus and lymph and plaque buildup in the body being expressed by the skin. The skin is the final pathway of detox. So when you have visible tumors or cysts or acne on your skin, you know you are
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately very, very, very toxic inside because your body was trying to detox through your breath. Your body was trying to detox through your colon. And it said, okay, if you're going to fill me up with so much poison, I guess I'm going to have to pass it through the skin. So I saw this video in college and I decided, you know what, I can tell I have too much belly fat, which some people roll their eyes. Oh, Pete, you're so skinny. Why are you fasting? But I knew inside, I knew that I had too much body weight. So I did a 3-day water fast for the first time and I was weak. I had no energy. And it's so fascinating because I did not know that we could live on sunlight and breath as chronic breatharians. So it's so much about your mindset. You know what I mean? If you wake up in the morning and you say, I could never do 10 push ups, then you'll probably never do 10 push ups. But if you allow yourself the mindset of, if I work hard, then someday I can do 10 push ups, then that's the first step towards being great and achieving your goal. So for me, I actually haven't experienced that much soreness, tiredness while abstaining from solid food. Last week, I did 6 days of solid food vacation, And
Mm-hmm.
I was, as you mentioned, I'm working out every single day, going to the gym, not because I feel I have to, but just because it makes me feel so good and I really love it. And I'm pretty easy on my body. I won't spend 2 hours working up a sweat and going too hard because honestly, we can damage our bodies if we're lifting too much weight. But that's why I like calisthenics. We also call it body weight exercises. When you're dealing with your own body weight, then it motivates you to get rid of weight, but I would call it weight. You know what I mean? When you, like for me, the last few days, I've lost 20 pounds and it makes a push up quite a bit easier because the weight that I do have, I'm about 150 pounds right now, and I simply have more muscle, and the 20 pounds that I lost might have been some muscle, but it was mostly food that was just stuck in my flipping colon. So yeah, I don't, to answer your question more directly, I have not experienced a ton of detox symptoms that have been difficult, and I think it's because I've been gradually easing my way into this holistic health lifestyle. Um, Last week, after my 6 day solid food vacation, I did relapse pretty hard for a couple reasons emotionally. And I've noticed that if I relapse, it's because I was not protecting my energy and my emotions well, right? We usually, if we're in a peaceful state of mind, we don't feel vibe or toxic. My bicycle was stolen from me down in Denver because I forgot to lock it up when I was playing music with my
Okay.
friends with my rock band. And then
Mm-hmm.
my social club that I'm a part of, Archipelago, they released a notice that they would require people to wear face masks at events because of this new Denver order we have. So I decided I cannot live with that. I'm sorry. I need to split with you because I'm so against the masks. They're the antithesis of breatharianism, right? We're trying to teach
Yeah.
people that you can live on the breath. So if you have a mask on, you're not going to be a
Oh, yes.
breatharian. I'll just put it that way.
You
So
can't really, yeah. Literally, by
last
wearing clothes, we are literally masking off this whole body, brother, because the whole body is breathing actually. The body
Oh
is
wow,
breathing.
that's
So,
true. We're
yeah,
wearing
yeah.
masks right now. Just
Yes, yes,
stepping on
yes.
the breath.
So you just take off his clothes, and that's the way the primitive man used to live, and that's the way.
Mm,
But unfortunately, we have been programmed to live this way, and we need the sun to your body, and the disease definitely is because the sun is not touching our skin for sure. That's the reason there are so many things because the colon, uh, everything begins with a disease in the colon, in the gut. So that's the way we need to put off this weight, the excess weight, because whatever the fat is inside is not ours. We have to leave it
mm,
outside the body, and the shitty thoughts which comes into our brain is because of the shit inside the colon. So we have one wise man once said, never trust your thoughts when your colon is full, when your stomach is full. Never trust your thoughts because you're not that. And the moment you just get rid of all the shitty waste, the fecal matter out of your system, and then there you are, the spiritual journey has begun. So I'm glad that you're just still losing weight, and then and you're still feeling energetic. That's down to sun gazing as well, brother, and also the breathwork sessions which you are putting in. So in addition to this Shivambu therapy, do you are you still doing some juice fasting or something, brother? And
yes, I'm so glad you brought it up because juice has changed my life. It is honestly so incredible. I never
yeah.
knew about juicing at all. I grew up drinking even orange juice out of a concentrate and
Mm-hmm.
pasteurizing, and they just absolutely feed us poison. It's incredible. If you have fresh squeezed organic orange juice and compare it to the orange juice you'll buy at a supermarket that's pasteurized,
Mm-hmm.
they basically just load it with sugar and with artificial colors just to make it even look like orange juice. But the true organic fresh squeeze that you can make with yourself at home, either a blender or a juicer, has been so electric. I'll have a glass of juice and I'll feel like, oh, I don't need to eat a hamburger. I don't need to eat a pizza because I
Mm-hmm.
feel satisfied. And as I've been learning is that these foods, what we call food, it just stimulates the water wheel, right? It is a great metaphor in this book. Man's Higher Consciousness by Hilton Hotema, which I'll show in a moment here. He has a great metaphor. This food and this juice is just the water that passes over the water wheel and it gets the wheel turning. So the wheel is our holy vehicle or our divine body. And drinking a glass of juice will help get that wheel turning, but the juice itself never becomes part of the wheel, just like, the water never becomes part of the wheel. So the
Yes.
great thing about juice is that it's a more efficient way to stimulate your wheel. But then fruit is so easily passed and digested, either in its whole solid form or even better if you can juice it. Is taking out that fiber before you consume it. I like to call it pre-digestion with people because you look at all the fiber that comes out of your juicer and you realize, oh my gosh, I would have been pooping that out as feces. It simply doesn't need that fiber unless you're trying to dislodge so much shitty food that you put. It was a huge mindset shift for me. I used to think it was healthy just to eat the peels of oranges and bananas because I was told that fiber was good and I knew nothing about true health. It's kind of incredible, but now
Mm.
juicing, I'll make two types of juices. And this is a simple recipe I found online is a cucumber, a few stalks of celery, two apples, and kale. Or some sort of leafy green. That'll be very sweet because the apple sugar is really um, overtakes the other greens, the kale and the cucumber, not the cucumber, mostly just the kale. It'll be more bitter, but if you put apples in your green juice, it's not going to make it less healthy. That fruit sugar is, from my experience and from my knowledge, not really bad for you. So that green drink is great. If I don't make that, I'll make one other recipe, which is simply grapefruit and oranges, and it's kind of a nice breakfast drink. So those two have been sustaining me. I'm definitely going to experiment with even getting off the juice to heal even
Hmm.
deeper because as my mentor Avatar Johnny and Christo Ancient Elite on Instagram both share, you have all sorts of a hierarchy of parasites as well. And I kind of
Yes,
like
yes, yes.
thinking of things in a hierarchy. So by fasting from solid food, I've been getting rid of my solid food parasites. But frankly, even if you just have fruit or juice, some parasites will still survive in your digestive system in your colon.
It's true, brother, because the world is full of parasites, and unless we become a breatharian, there's bound to be parasites, and we're gonna battle this for till the end, brother. The parasites gonna stay until we become a breatharian. So uh, I love that you brought this concept of parasites. So did you use any specific parasite cleanse in this process?
Yeah, I found a great resource. So I commented on one of Avatar Johnny's posts on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, and then a man named Tim reached out to me via DM saying, "Hey, I'm an ambassador of this brand named Purium, and our mission is to use well-sourced and sustainably sourced herbs, selling them to you in a little capsule. And so I've been taking two of these small little pills. It's just
Mm-hmm.
crushed up herbs, and it's from things like sagrada root to wormwood to black hole something. I'm not sure. I forget all the different herbs that are in the mix, but
Mm.
they're supposed to help you pass parasites. And I thought, hey, what's the worst that could happen? I lose a few dollars on this product. It's probably not going to make me feel bad. And honestly, I think that they have been helping me pass parasites because on my Instagram story, on my health coaching account, I've been sharing a few photos with people when they ask to see my parasites I've been passing out. And I haven't been passing out a ton, but sometimes I'll have a bowel movement either before an enema or after an enema, and I'll see these little, very, very small, about an inch long, little wormy guys. What's difficult to know is if it's just a strand of mucus or if it's truly a small little parasite. But either way, it's good news because I'm passing out stuff that doesn't belong. If it is mucus, it's encapsulating some sort of a toxin. And if it's a parasite, which some of these definitely look like little parasites. Um, yeah, so besides that Purium product, I think that getting onto a urine fast sometime soon will help me pass even more. So I probably have some fruit-loving parasites that are just still chilling in my body.
Hmm.
But I love this process of going from the solid fruit to the juice to the urine, and then you do a dry fast. And I've never done a
Try
dry
fast.
fast in my whole life, but that is the epitome of breatharianism right there.
Yes, brother. So you are still you are reverting back to solid food sometimes again, after this process of your detoxification, are you reverting back to solid food sometimes, or you're on a SFV forever?
That's really an interesting question. I've been thinking about that a lot because I've met some great mentors on Instagram who they make what we would call like a raw vegan wrap. So they'll take maybe romaine lettuce or they'll take seaweed and they will fill it with great veggies like bell peppers, tomatoes, avocado. And frankly, I think my body would receive that well when it comes to solid food. That'd probably be the best solid choice I could make besides a fruit like an apple. So in the future, in order to enjoy the meal, in order to enjoy the experience, I think I might indulge in some solid food, but I will take this knowledge with me into the future of I don't need this vegan raw food wrap in order to survive. I don't need it to live. I just want it as purely an experience. You know, when I order a Domino's pizza, it's not because I'm trying to thrive, it's because I'm trying to have that time stimulating experience. There's something beautiful about that, even though it's unhealthy, because this life is full of experiences, both higher vibrational, lighter experiences, and then also sometimes some darker experiences. You know what I mean?
Yes, brother.
So to answer
Yes.
your question, I'm just going to leave that for future Peter to decide, but I think it's likely that I will swing like a pendulum because in my life I
Okay.
kind of enjoy experimenting with one side and then you get sick of one side, so you go to the other side, and then you go back and forth. So perhaps I'll
It's
do.
brother. Yeah, it's like a process, brother. The fooding and unfolding, it's like masculinity and femininity together. That sounds, that's nice, brother. That's nice. And that really makes sense. That's a great idea. But can you explain your process of getting back having solid food from fasting again? That's a very important question because I'm sure many who are embarking on this journey do have this question because when you start eating food in a wrong way, you're certainly you'll catch up some problems. So there must be a process in which you enter back again into food. So if Nick or any of your mentors have guided you into this, if you are willing to share that.
Most definitely. Speaking of Nick, he has a podcast episode with his own father. He helped his own father decrease his food addiction and get into chronic living and juicing. So, unfortunately, his father had diabetes because his food addiction was so bad. And he fasted and did a long solid food vacation, but then he did not break his fast well because he went back to large portions of very unhealthy food. And unfortunately, the consequence that he reaped from that was developing the even worse type of diabetes. I believe it's called type 2 diabetes. So that was a powerful testimony that made me reflect on how I need to be intelligent in breaking my fast, just like you're alluding.
Hmm.
Last week, I had 6 days of solid food vacation, and I did not feel hungry even once all 6 days. But when I had those emotional experiences happen to me, like my bike was stolen and my social club changed the mask policy, and then I took some psychedelic mushrooms when I was with my friend Daniel last Sunday.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, the mushrooms, or if I take LSD or smoke weed, the next couple of days it'll make me more depressed because my serotonin and my dopamine is too depleted. So I ordered junk food like Domino's, not eating any solid food for 6 days. And I didn't feel so violently ill that I threw up, and I didn't feel so violently ill like I didn't have an intense, painful, sharp stomach, but I knew that it was really not treating my body well at all. My bandmate John, who's a very intuitive person who can see auras and all that, he said, "Why did you break your fast on Domino's, bro? You should have got yourself a nice bell pepper and really eased your way back into it in a more intelligent sense." So my goal for this upcoming break of my fast, whenever that is, whether it be January 1st or December 25th. I'm planning on it being all the way to January 1st. I think I can do this entire month without eating any solid food based on how good I feel. But whenever that day is, it is my goal to buy some wholesome ingredients and to make myself a raw vegan wrap instead of ordering pizza, because my body, and also it's important to think about the portion of your raw vegan wrap, because Nick Caputo taught me that your stomach is only roughly the size of your fist. So most of us eat a lot more than the size of our fist. But if I made burrito, maybe I should consider only eating half the burrito and saving the other half of the burrito for the next day. One other advice I would give is that you should only eat one meal a day. If you're going to eat
Yes.
solid food, there is no reason to break your fast by going back to breakfast, lunch, dinner. So unfortunately, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, complete hoax. It's a complete facade, and it's only designed to keep them.
Yes, brother, that's true. That's true. And that really sounds, sensible. And I totally resonate with you. You were just killing our bodies by just having food 3 times, I'm really on the same page with you regarding that. But uh, do you see there are any specific recipes for juices in order to enable this fast juice cleanse, brother? Any specific like greens or sort of that separate fruit juices which you think can really speed up the process of detox?
Yeah, I was just asking Juicing with Aiden. He's one of Nick Caputo's friends, actually. So he
Hmm.
is a pretty popular juicing account on Instagram. And so Nick has this expression. He says, eat your fruits and juice your veggies. And I was thinking, okay, why is that? I didn't quite understand that. Why should we not juice fruit? And Juicing with Aiden, I asked a question on his post. I said, is it bad that I'm putting a couple apples in my green juice? And he said, no, actually, the apples are going to be really, really helpful for the body in detoxing. It's a very tough scientific topic because I'm not studied in biochemistry so much, and I don't know the specific terminology. But what I've learned from my mentors is that apples are a very, very effective source of stimulation in detoxing. So if one person decided, hey, I love how apple juice tastes, even just that one ingredient would be proper and would help you detox. But as they say, there's a lot of beautiful diversity when it comes to these high liquid content veggies and fruits. And that's why I choose to buy celery, cucumber, apple, and kale, because I know that I'm getting a wide variety of different types of chlorophyll. I have learned that
Hmm.
chlorophyll is a natural deodorant, so if you drink enough of that, you will quit. You will not smell bad anymore. Um,
True, brother. I've
the other,
experienced it practically. I'm
yeah,
going to come back. Yeah.
and the other one that I enjoy, like I mentioned, the oranges and grapefruit, that makes me feel good. This is a bit outside my realm of expertise, but I'm hoping that in the next few years, as I help clients, I'm actually going to get direct feedback over time about, okay, maybe I recommend this recipe, and they say, oh, that worked really well for me, but maybe this other recipe didn't work well for them. So I still have so much to learn about juicing. I think that kind of like breath work, if you don't overthink it so much, you're going to derive 90% of the benefits from a very simple recipe. And it's more about where your intention is at, and it's more about if you want to heal, rather than, oh, I need to find the perfect recipe. I need exactly 1 tablespoon of ginger root, and I need exactly 3 stalks of kale. It's like totally not about that at all.
True, brother. True. Yeah, and I've certainly experienced that chlorophyll and there are certain fruits which are like astringents, like grapes, for example.
Absolutely.
And as you have said,
Astringents.
yeah, astringency, they are like pulling of the lymph pullers. They are the lymph pullers, brother. I've certainly
Totally.
experienced that going on mono juicing for sometimes, they can cut off the mucus like a knife, you know, they can cut your mucus off from the body. That is certainly one of my experiences. And chlorophyll definitely will speed up the process of detoxification. And I'm glad that you have experienced the same. I'm really glad that you have brought up chlorophyll here, brother. And one of the topics, because one of your practices which I've been observing and following you on Instagram as well as breathwork. What are the specific breathworks which you're practicing and which you encourage your clients to take on, the specific breathworks? Please share what you practice regarding your breathwork and also the specific yoga on the workouts you do. Uh, and any sort of meditation which you practice. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I love sharing about breath work because it's changed my life for the better so much. So before I found Nick Caputo, a couple of years ago, I intuitively came up with a breathwork practice before I even knew that it was breathwork. And I called
Mm-hmm.
it the meditation of the 100 breaths because I realized that if I slowed down enough to simply be aware of 100 breaths in a row, that I would help my body tap into what we call the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, I didn't have that fancy term for it back then, but what I did know is that by slowing down and just doing what they call meditating, but it's kind of the same as breath work, you're going to let your body heal, and you're going to, instead of having a monkey mind of, you're going to basically reach more of a state of calm.
Yes.
And some people would call it more, you get more into your prefrontal cortex instead of your limbic system. So the meditation of the 100 breaths is quite easy because it's straightforward. All you have to do is sit, not like I'm sitting now. I was leaning against the wall, but all you do is you sit up in kind of a nice lotus or half lotus or even just cross-legged, crossed applesauce, like we call it in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And you just relax your eyes or close your eyes, and then your only duty is to take a deep nasal inhale, and then you engage your diaphragm. So some people don't know that, so I want to mention that. You don't as much want to use your chest and your rib cage. You want to
Mm-hmm.
allow your diaphragm to expand out like a balloon on your inhale. So nice inhale, and then you don't need to be in a rush to release it. But when you feel a natural inclination to exhale, and you release it. And in my mind, I kind of visualize painting the number 1 in front of my vision, because that helps me keep track of what number am I on. Am I on 55? Am I on 25? And it trains the mind to be focused. You can't just drift off. And, when we watch TV, when we're on social media too much, we just get so unable to focus. So this meditation of the 100 breaths not only helps your body heal, but you're also training your brain. That's kind of the beauty of meditation, right? A couple
Yes.
other breathwork techniques that I would recommend are things I've learned mostly from Nick Caputo. One is beautiful. It's called Tumo breath. Also, Coach Jeezy gave me a free Zoom class and taught me
Okay.
tumo breathing. So you imagine it like a square. So a square has 4 sides,
Yeah,
and the
square
first
breathing.
side, yep, square
Yeah.
breathing. Some people might know it as. You want to do basically like about 4 counts of inhale. That's
Mm.
the up and I squeeze my pelvic floor on my inhale. Some people have a technique where they squeeze their pelvic floor on their exhale. So it's really to each their own. And there will be benefits both ways, really. But I like the pelvic floor squeeze on the inhale because I feel like my vehicle is so electric, and I'm charging the battery of my vehicle, and it makes you feel so full in a way that a meal will not make you feel full. So the Tuma breath, you squeeze your pelvic floor as you inhale, and you keep the squeeze, and you just hold your inhale for 4 counts. Then the downside of the square will be a nice relaxed exhale. You can release the tension of your pelvic floor for your Kegel muscles. And then that final 4 side of the square is just holding the exhale. So you can kind of in your mind just imagine inhale, hold, exhale, hold, and it's as simple as that. It's not anything too complicated. The third and the
We
final breath that was really good is called 369. And this
3-6.
one will really help with people who are trying to increase their exhale hold. So you do 3 quick inhales through your nose and then 3 quick exhales through your nose. And you do this technique for about 1 minute in duration. And I like using a timer on the phone, but if someone doesn't want to use time in seconds, you can also just kind of do it based on your intuition, for roughly a minute. So after you do that for about a minute, you give yourself about a minute just to um, return to not a structured 3 in, 3 out, but rather just kind of breathe as you would normally breathe, slow and steady. But then because it's called 3-6-9, you want to go to 6 in, 6 out next. So and by increasing that number from 3 to 6 to 9, you're actually reducing how many breaths you're taking total per minute. And your body's learning how to take the oxygen you're getting and make it more efficient for your bloodstream. So incredibly enough, when I was doing this back to back with a friend of mine named Jesse, who's into juicing and breathwork, after we did 3-6-9 breathing, then I tested myself and saw, okay, how long can I hold an exhale now? How many seconds will it be before my brain is forced to inhale? And I was able to hold my exhale for about a full minute, whereas in the past, I was having a hard time even holding my exhale for about 20 seconds. That was a super inspiring tip that I got from Nick that changed my life. That's the final breathwork technique that I'll share, is that you want to do what's called the exhale hold. And it's simply a test of your health. Kind of like we'll put someone on a scale and weigh their weight in pounds. Maybe you could also check somebody's resting heart rate. It's going to give you some valuable information about how cleaned up your vehicle is. So I would echo Nick's idea that a healthy person should strive to have an exhale hold of 45 seconds. And then if you want to hold on the inhale, you should be able to hold for about 1 minute or about 60 seconds. And Nick is very passionate about underwater exploration, and he believes that human beings are semi-aquatic animals. We all were in water in urea when we were in our mother's womb, and we were somehow surviving. So when you're born, you kind of forget how to be an aquatic being. But some people like Nick get to a point where they can hold their breath for 2 or 3 whole minutes while enjoying being underwater. That's pretty incredible.
We all should really club together one day, brother, in order to do this breathwork session one day, and we should go live on Facebook again one day, hopefully, to have a special breathwork session. I love this, brother. I love this, and it certainly activates, the conscious breathing, conscious living, conscious thinking. So it really activates the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, the solar and the lunar aspects, of the Kundalini. And I can definitely feel it, brother. And your breathwork is really inspiring for sure. So we will wrap it up by coming on to uh, important question regarding your health coaching, brother. What is your vision on health coaching? So allow that you're open to health coaching. So how is your approach going to be with regards to health coaching, and what are your ways in which you are going to offer your services, and how is your approach going to start with to your clients, and how are you planning to address their grievances, you know? So please go ahead, brother. Over to you.
Thank you. It's a great question. And it's very helpful for me to describe about my practice because I'm currently in the process of finding clients. And the best way to find clients when you're just starting a career is to offer your services for free, because I do not have a list of 10 people who would heal from me yet. I do have anecdotal experiences with my friends and my family where they'll tell me, wow, Peter, you just being in this room and just sharing space and time with us is healing us. So I know that I have a very high vibration, and I know that even over a Facebook Live or even over a Zoom call.
Hmm. Somehow lost your voice, brother. Somehow lost your voice. Yes, now I can hear you. Yeah, please go ahead now, brother.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Mm.
So that's the first aspect, is that for about 1 year or 2 years, I'm going to be offering free sessions. and because I do not want anybody to be excluded because of a financial situation that they're in where they can't afford coaching. But also
Hmm.
it's selfish for me because what I'm doing is strategic. I'm building up a whole community of people who I invite into perfect health. And once I have 10 or 20 testimonies of people saying, this guy is not a hoax, this guy is not a quack, he's not a fake, he actually can change your life. Once I have all those testimonies, then I'll actually feel responsible in charging money for a session. So I actually took that inspiration directly from Nick Caputo. Shocker. It's like almost everything I do is in direct inspiration from Nick because he's so great and I love him so much. But to talk more about the nuts and bolts or the logistics of what I do is I invite people through my Instagram account to direct message me and schedule a primary introductory session for 1 hour. So in
Hmm.
that first hour, we'll meet on Zoom, but I'm also okay with meeting on Instagram video chat or in person if they're here in the state of Colorado. And I
Yeah.
will mostly just listen to them and ask a lot of questions about four things. One, what does your day-to-day life look like? What is your diet when it comes to food, exercise, your family? Also, second, what inspired you to reach out for health coaching? Um, Also, third, like, where do you see yourself, and what is a vision? Um,
Hmm.
oh, just one sec. Thanks for the question, Brandon. I'm gonna get to that in just a moment, but I'm gonna finish
Yeah,
explaining
Brendan,
really quick.
Brendan has a question. Yes, yes.
If, if you can,
So, hey all,
yeah,
I've been
I want to get
enjoying
to that in
following
just
all
a
of
moment.
this. Yes, yes, brother, please go
Um,
ahead.
so the long story short, the basic things that we address in that first hour are me getting to know my client, but I also get a chance to share my uh, experience and my background, kind of like I did at the top of this Facebook Live, where I talked about my pain, my trauma, my hurt, the family I was born into, and then this beautiful new community that I'm finding myself in. Um, so after that introductory session, then I'll meet with someone once a week and I'll provide them with free PDFs where I describe my coaching philosophy as well as what I call my general protocol. Um, and then the coaching philosophy, general protocol, and then meet your coach. Yeah, where I talk about just my background and all that. So I encourage anybody who's interested. I'm still looking for clients. Thankfully, I have 2 clients right now. I've been doing this for 2 weeks, and I've found very quality people. They know that it's what we like to call an equal energy exchange. I'm helping people, but they're also helping me. So if anybody feels inspired to do so, you should definitely
Hmm.
follow Instagram, Pete the Healer, and send me a direct message and we can schedule your first introductory session.
Definitely, definitely. I would really encourage my viewers here to just go to Instagram and search for Pete the Healer, and you can direct message him for any health coaching or any specific ailment which you're encountering. And I'm sure that he's the right man, Peter. I'm really happy that you are one of my friends, and I can also see Karen Lee, who is my good friend here online as well. Hello, Karen.
Oh, that's
Hi, how are
great.
you doing? She's
No,
fantastic.
no,
She's fantastic. Yeah, she's really inspiring. And Karen just puts on amazing articles regarding detoxification and particularly regarding Dr. Morse and many more. And she certainly inspires me with all the testimonials she writes on her FB page. And I'm glad that she's watching this. Hello, Karen. Love and light to
yeah,
you, Karen.
thanks for
So
mentioning.
yeah, but
Now,
now we will just come on to Brendan's question. Uh,
perfect.
so I'm going to read it for you, Peter. Hi all. I've been enjoying following all of this, but there is one thing that this video is kind of confusing me on. Okay, I'm glad that it is confusing you, Brendan, because it's not misunderstanding, because as long as you are confused, you are on right direction because you're exploring. You're exploring the truth. So I'm glad that you're confused and hope Peter will clarify your confusion now. Since the earth is most definitely not a globe, why is the sun shining in Ravi's realm but not in Peter's. I'm a bit confused. So, yes, over to you. Over to you. You're the right one. You're the right man to clarify this, Peter.
Good. Yeah, thank you. That's a great question, Brandon. This is a very close friend of mine who I went to high school with. So the way I would describe it is that the fact of the sun being 93 million miles away is not easy to defend with empirical evidence, but rather we have more evidence that would say that the sun is more like only 2,000 miles away, or a lot more close, not so remote. And the way that might work is that if our plane is flat, which I personally believe we're not on a globe, it's a controversial topic, but I believe that we're on some sort of a flat plane, and that what we call the Earth may not be all the livable terrain, but there may be livable terrain past the Antarctic ice wall. And so if the sun is closer to what we call the Earth, it may act more like a spotlight, where there are certain regions of what we call the flat Earth that are being illuminated by the sun, but some regions that aren't illuminated. And this gets a little bit tricky because it's a little bit difficult to know how summer, the season, works in the southern hemisphere. And this was something that got me really, really tripped up as I was learning about the flat Earth and challenging NASA, challenging the heliocentric globe model. So I'm not entirely positive that the maps that were being provided are accurate. And there's lots of examples about how you could show that Eurocentric maps will show that Africa looks small and Russia and Greenland look really big. But then you actually learn about how many miles across Africa is compared to, for example, like Russia, Greenland, United States, Canada. And so what you need to understand, anybody who's interested in this topic, is that the maps we've been taught with are only accurate in a certain sense or to a certain degree. But every map is going to be lacking in its true presentation of reality, right? As human beings are taking measurements and doing the
Yes.
best they can, but unfortunately, often human work is inaccurate. And there's a lot of odd inconsistencies when it comes to maps of the ancient world compared to maps of today. In fact, the same man who published the famous map that we all use in the United States had an ancient map of the North Pole where there was a giant magnetic mountain and four rivers running in each cardinal direction from each of those mountains. And I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head right now, but it's not my area of expertise because I haven't studied astronomy. I'm not a physicist, so I will admit that I'm humble and I could be wrong about this, but my best guess is that the sun and the moon operate more like a spinning spotlight over a flat plane, and that therefore the sun could be shining in India right now, and then in 12 hours it's going to come to my half and to my side and shine over my side. So that's the best I can do, and thank you for the question, Brandon, and thank you, Nick and Brandon, for checking in.
Thank you, Brandon. Hope your question is clarified. And yes, do you prescribe any specific yoga during this process of, cleansing, Peter?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm a beginner in yoga, so it's not my realm of expertise. I would say that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
kind of like with breath work and juicing, you don't need to overcomplicate it so much, but I would recommend that people do it intuitively. I had the pleasure of receiving a little bit of coaching and training in some basic poses like downward dog, child's pose, tree pose, sun salutations. But I haven't yet done a full primary series. I have yet to really get into all the asanas where I don't know how to do every asana. So it's something I'm excited to become. Maybe I'll even pursue a certification in yoga because it's so popular and it heals people so deeply. But my general advice is just enjoy being a beginner and know that by moving your body, if you can be in the sunlight, that'll really help. If you're going to be in fresh air, that's going to really help. If you have beautiful nature sounds like you have there at the academy, I hear the beautiful rushing water, I hear the beautiful birds. All of that's actually going to heal the body
Yeah,
somewhat.
true, brother. I love staying in the nature, nature bathing. I'm really in love with nature. Always have been doing this forest bathing of late, and I've been doing this tree meditations, and tree hugging. That is one of the beautiful things which I do, and sometimes, the moon meditation, the sun meditation, of course, the sun gazing, which you're popular with, and the qigong. That is one of my favorite practices as well. Because it's like working up the energy, it's like building up your energy body. It's the way of energy cultivation, which I love. And of course, staying in the forests and sitting on the rocks, because that aids as natural grounding, one of the grounding practices which you do, which I love. And yeah, forest bathing is definitely going to help you, which is the practice which I recommend, because the pure oxygen is definitely going to heal you, in addition to the sunbathe. The UVA, the UVB rays, they do act as subservient to healing. And the semen retention. The semen retention is one of the important practices. And brahmachari, that is one of the things which I take care of. And the celibacy is the key, so that we can harvest this energy and bringing it to the higher dimensions. So I would recommend, this is one of the things. I'm not a health coach, but I've been just trying to be consistent in my practices. Uh, Now, the only thing is like mastery over your addictions. No, that's the thing which you need to do, because as soon as you just gain control over your tongue, you get control over your mind. There's a force of the mind. So, your thoughts on coffee de-addiction, brother? I saw that in your profile that you have been teaching, de-addiction on coffee and meat. So, your thoughts on that, on the way you teach, you approach your clients regarding this coffee de-addiction, and also the spawn, and also this, this meat. What are your thoughts on this, and what are your
Yeah,
ways on encountering this?
yeah. I've learned a couple really good techniques from my mentors. One is that you need to have a lot of grace and patience with yourself, because
Hmm.
the journey isn't linear like a straight line. It actually is more like a spiral, kind of like that
Okay,
beautiful
it
symbol that you
is.
did with your arms when you were describing Kundalini. The symbol of
Yes,
Kundalini
yes,
is like a serpent
true.
that goes up your whole spine in a spiral. So there's going to be moments where unfortunately we fail, because as human beings, we love to be in our lower primal state, not our higher self, because the whole reason we incarnated into this existence and manifested here is because God, or source, was getting bored of being perfect and wanted to experience the dirtiness of being an animal and in a
Hmm.
lower vibrational state. So I would say that if you have an inclination to feed your addiction by smoking weed or watching porn or eating a hamburger or a pizza, I would actually say something controversial. I would say you should enjoy that and be very
Hmm.
present, because if you're going to do it, at least honor source and honor reality by being present and enjoying that thing. If you're present, you're also going to notice how it doesn't make you feel that good in the long term. There's a certain time duration that it's going to feel good. And then the long duration after that, you're going to feel the consequences very karmically. So the more present you are, and the more you really let yourself enjoy it, you're going to basically get over it. You know what I mean? Like, you want to, like, if you're going to watch a movie, you want to watch the whole movie. You don't want to just watch the first 5 minutes. Or if you read a book, you don't want to read just the first couple pages of a book and then say, oh, I shouldn't be doing that. Just whatever you do, even if it's something that we're judging as an addiction, even if it's something we're judging as toxifying and dirty, at least be present with it. And I think there's some profound truth in that, because it's really helped me, enjoy those things. But then you decide, my higher self is sober and I don't need to carry those things into my future. We're all on a different journey. So this has just been a fantastic talk, Ravi, and you've been so selfless, because you've mostly been asking me about my journey, but next time we get together on Facebook or Instagram, I'll look forward to asking you a few questions. Very excited to learn more about your academy and what your goal is there.
Definitely, brother. It will be a massive pleasure. It will be a massive pleasure to share. I've been just a budding youngster, embarking on this journey. Uh, you know, um just enjoying the process rather than looking for the results. And I have had my own share of troubles, and I just came up through them through this same practices which I've been doing. Of course, I love what you do. You're even far more advanced, and you're even far more empowering and motivating. Your journey. That's why I love to enter a dialogue with like-minded individuals like you. And of course, reading is one of the things which I love to do. And of course, the one who's watching, Karen Lee, her testimonials certainly inspire me a lot. And of course, Nick, I one thing is I would encourage you to write a testimonial, you know, in this video, adding a description of the people who inspired you, uh, like in what way they have inspired you, who are those people whom you looked up to, like you have mentioned in this interview, one-on-one, so that they can even come up. We can just come on Zoom one day, uh, which can be broadcasted on Facebook as well, even in YouTube, if you're willing to. My favorite practice is this has been, there have been rocks. This is a hill station. I'm on this, allowed to sleep on these rocks all the day because rocks certainly do have their energy of their own. The pranic sources, I must say, are oceans, forests, and rocks. Hierarchically, the number one comes the ocean, and you know, uh, oceans are high on prana. And hey, Brendan has written something for you, Peter. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah,
I appreciate
it's
you
pretty great.
addressing my question. Side note, your Instagram reminded me of my aunt who recently got into urine therapy. So, yeah, a couple of years ago, she also dabbled in flushing out the toxins, and when she began passing parasites, she started feeling really bad and ended up in the hospital after about a month. As of now, her health is still pretty touch and go, and the parasites caused a pretty serious infection that took her over a year to shake off. Is this part of the plan, or do you think the urine therapy doesn't agree with specific people? Thanks again for your time. This is final question for the night before I hit the sack. Oh, Peter, this is some food for thought now. You should address this question, my friend.
Yeah, this is a really, really good question. So thanks for sticking with us, Brandon, and thank you for hanging out before you go to bed. But I've actually heard this great advice, and this advice goes like this. It says, do not be discouraged by detox symptoms. So me, myself, when I've been doing my aged urine enemas, also called colonic irrigation, where you put your own urine up into your colon and pee it out through your butt, um, I will feel nauseous when I'm basically detoxing, and that's very common. Unfortunately, what we've done our whole lives is we've take so much toxicity and so much junk into our bodies that it gets stored kind of like trauma. So all of that plaque, all those parasites, all of that built up lymph is really going to be hard to get out. And I believe that the reason your aunt felt so sick as she was doing therapy and passing those parasites is that she had a lot of buildup. And that's why the advice is usually less is more and go slow but steady. Because if someone tries to take on too much too quick, that situation with your aunt is not terribly unique. Unfortunately, a lot of people do go through the bad. But what's interesting is that sickness in the Western world and mainstream pharmacology, sickness is seen as something to be avoided. And in my world of holistic healing and in Robbie's world, sickness is actually embraced because what sickness truly is detox. So if you're getting such a bad feeling inside that you can't stand up anymore, or you have to go to the hospital, maybe you can't even keep solids down, that's actually a really, really good indicator that you're on the right path. It's a very, very challenging path because you need to find a balance, right? You can't quite run a marathon on your first day trying to be a runner, to put it in a metaphor. But I would say that on your first day of running, you should run half a mile or just try and run for 5 minutes. So I would say that unfortunately your aunt probably um, was a little bit hasty and didn't know her body well enough to take it gradually, being her own self healer. I'm very sorry to hear that she suffered so much illness and had to go to the hospital. That is very tough. Um, that being said, to answer the second part of your question, I do not think that urine therapy actually just doesn't agree with specific people. I think that it truly can help everyone. The only caveat to that is if you're on a lot of prescription drugs or if you drink a lot of alcohol, there's some things that you don't want to be looping back into your system because they're so toxic. If you're on 9 or 10 different prescription medications, I would first work on using your way off of those really horrible prescription medications before you engage in the shivambu, the urine therapy. But for 99% of people, the advice that I've gotten from my mentor Nick is that it's really going to be very healing. But here's some good advice though. If someone doesn't want to drink their fresh, a good way to ease into it is just taking a dropper. You can simply drop a couple drops sublingually, meaning right under your tongue. Or you can actually just rub some of it under your skin. Because our skin, like Ravi was saying about clothing, our skin is a giant mouth. And we're breathing through our skin. And we're taking in water from the atmosphere through our skin as well. So urine therapy, even though I resonated with it and I tried it pretty quickly and I just started drinking my fresh and loving it, that is not going to be for everybody because when I started it, my body was pretty clean already, and some people have much deeper food addictions to cheese, dairy, meat, starch, alcohol, caffeine, soda, all those things. So knowing Brandon, I wouldn't be that surprised if Brandon's aunt was more in the standard American diet side of things. I don't know her specific situation, but thank you for the question, buddy, and have great sleep. And I hope to see you and Nick sometime soon.
Yeah, Brendan, you can just go into Instagram, and I would encourage you to just privately message Peter regarding your situation. If I think I hope it can be of further help to you. If you even got more questions, or even like if your question hasn't been, you know, you're just still clumsy about this urine therapy, you can ask Peter regarding this. Thanks, Brandon, for participating. I appreciate this a lot, and I also appreciate Karen for participating here. One day I would like to enter into a dialogue with Karen as well. Uh, she's a really motivating and a fascinating woman. She's always posting lots of testimonials, practical testimonials regarding herbs, holistic detoxification, and everything. So I'm glad she's with us now. So that's all for today. I'm really happy because this is not finished. I really feel that there will be part one, part two, part three, many more parts to this interview because I really loved each and every part of this dialogue, this interview with you. You're such a fabulous man, fabulous young man. You're still 25. Yep, fit and firing on all cylinders, and you have got lots of way to go, and pretty high dimensions to scale, and I'm sure you will do it, Peter. You are really incredible. Thanks for your time, and thanks for your valuable sharings today, and I appreciate it a lot. And in our next interview, we're gonna do some practical breath work. That is my idea. That is one of my idea. We can do this practical breath work because I've been just exploring this breath work, So, so there definitely we have to do this, and also we can also talk about juice fastings, juice cleanse sometimes maybe, and also I'll just share my insights on sun gazing, which I've been practicing, and also grounding as well. So this is the way, better talking, talking with like-minded individuals and talking with the self-talk. This is the way to heal, to enter into dialogue with ourselves and also with the people who share the same energy. And I'm glad that you have joined us today. Thanks a lot. And I hope you have a great night today. And then we'll catch up soon
Yeah, absolutely.
again.
Maybe 1 week from today, we could do another live.
Why not? I'll be more than happy. More than happy. Uh, we should do it, brother. Like uh, I'm just researching. I've been reading many things like Man's Higher Consciousness, written by Hilton Hotema, or sometimes like Pranic Nourishment, written by Jas Muheen as well. So things like that. I've been exploring few things. We can definitely enter a dialogue, and we can start one more session soon regarding the same. Thanks for joining, and I really appreciate what you have shared. And I hope you have a great night.
Yeah, thanks for
See
being
you.
such a good friend around me. This was a beautiful invitation. Have a great day.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
See ya.
Peace and love. Wholeness and balance.